I became their free nanny when I was 6 years old. They stole $32,000 in help and then tried to get me in trouble with the law, so I put them in jail with my sister's tapes. I was told that the oldest daughter in my family was to raise the children born after her. Please don't help me babysit, but as soon as they got home from the hospital, she became their real mother. I got my first diaper when I was 6 years old. My mom, who had been a teen mom herself, treated my pregnancy like a cold that just happened to you. My dad worked in building, but he always bought new tools with his pay, or going on nights out. Both of them grew up in big families where this was normal. By the time I was 8, I was in charge of 3. My parents would go on dates and leave me to heat bottles and rock kids who were crying. My mom would always say this when she told me about a new baby: soon you'll be married and be able to give the load to someone else. During her pregnancy, she looked at me as if I were paid help after many years. When I was 14, my mom put me at the kitchen table and made an official statement that she was pregnant again. This wasn't anything new, but this time she gave me a notebook with a household plan in it and wrote my name on it as the main caregiver, starting at 6 a.m. until 11 p.m. You're old enough to feed yourself at night. She told me. My dad agreed from his recliner. We canceled your after-school activities because family comes first. The worst part was when they told me I needed a work permit to buy diapers because they couldn't afford anymore. They told me what it was. They told me that this is what love looks like in our society by giving me real-life examples. Thank you so much. Better with them than we are. I started my day at 5:30 a.m. by getting ready. I made breakfast for 4 kids while my parents slept in. I once fell asleep during a parent-teacher conference, and my parents thought I was having a party at the grocery store. My youngest started calling me mama, and people gave us funny looks. That's when I finally gave up. I had worked so hard to get a full grant to the college I wanted. When my acceptance letter came on Tuesday, I wasn't a teenage mother, but I was Naomi, a normal girl going to a normal college. I was crying happy tears when my mom walked in and said I'm shelled. It was twins, and my face fell. That was the same week when, as if my dad wasn't already not paying attention, I had to hold my mom's hair when she woke up, threw up, rub her feet, and feed her cravings while she was pregnant while taking care of the kids. The following week, the counselor called me to tell me I had to turn in my final papers by 300 p.m. Baby got sick and wouldn't stop crying. I missed the deadline by 10 minutes. The grant was taken away. They told me that going to college would have been unfair because I wasn't committed. So I started getting ready for if you want to go to community college, you can leave in stealth. I got a part-time job at a grocery store. Andy put my money in a tampon box. My 16-year-old sister Jada found out, but she agreed to keep quiet. Everything was going as planned until my parents found the letter of intent. I had hid in my chemistry book, but my dad told me he would kick me out of the house if I left the family. And my mom cried as she thought about all they had done. I didn't say anything, and when I got home from work the next day, the house was full of social workers. They say that my parents told them I was the careless adult who was supposed to watch over everyone, even though the social worker saw through it. She made me make a terrible decision. Either I had to stay the main provider, or my kids would be put in foster care. And my parents stood there grinning like they had won. I had a secret weapon. Jessica, on the other hand, had been recording them on her phone for a few weeks. She pulled out her papers and started to question my parents, who were standing with their arms crossed. Jada slid her over to her. I took her phone and held it to my back. I could feel its weight like a tether. I said that my voice sounded more calm on these records than I thought it did. My mom's face went white, and my dad moved forward to grab the phone, but she raised her hand and said, "Let's all stay calm. Naomi, could you show me what we have played the first tape?" And could clearly hear my mother's words the whole time. Nicole needs to know where she fits in this room because she is the oldest girl, while she waits to get married and have her own oldest daughter to take over my dad's voice. If she thinks she's not taking care of these kids because she's going to college, she has something else coming up, and we'll make sure of that. The room went quiet, and my parents looked at each other worriedly. My mom then started crying, as she always did when she was upset. "That's not true," she yelled. "Naomi must have changed it with one of those apps. Kids can fake just about anything these days." My dad jumped on it right away. "She's been acting crazy lately and talking about leaving her family. She probably made this up to get attention." Ms. Susan looked between us, but her face wasn't clear. "These are important claims that we need to check out. Authenticity of these records." My mother said quickly, "Calvin, Uncle Calvin works there, and he can show in an hour that these are fakes." Calvin showed up with his laptop. He was 25 years old, and had always been the family's tech expert. To the audio file on his computer, and then looked up at Ms. Susan and said, "It's so easy to change audio these days." "These days," he told me, "there are dozens of apps that can cut and paste conversations without the source files. Metadata. There's no way to prove these are real," Jada said. I felt my heart fall. No doubt, the family would look out for each other, which is something they always did. Susan took notes on her notebook. "In the meantime, the kids will stay at home because of the current plan. I need to look into it more." When she left, both of my parents' masks came off. and my mom tightly gripped my arm. Enough to leave marks on you because you think you're so smart. We need to have a family meeting. See what Grandma Emma thinks about your plans to hurt this family. The next morning, our house was full of family member. Emma sat in the main room like a queen running the show. I hear that my mother's mother was a lady who raised 12 children and believed that hardships make people stronger. When she saw me recording your parents like a spy in my day, she said, "You've been making trouble. Kids who don't respect their parents got the belt," and my aunts agreed. Uncle Vincent, the lawyer, sat next to her and took notes. My mom had already talked to him about Naomi's always been difficult. My job as their lawyer, if things got worse, we've tried everything, the mother said, wiping her eyes. We even found a counselor friend who's been keeping records. She showed me a folder full of papers I knew from her behavior problems. The letterhead from Mrs. Patterson's coaching business. She and my mom went to high school together. Documents said I had major problems with attachment, oppositional rebellion, and pathological lying. I said, "These are fake," but Grandma Emma cut me off with a look. "People who won't do their family duties are crazy," she told me. "Your mother did her duty, and I did mine," she said. "You think you're special because this family has already done theirs?" Over the next few days, the family split up into camps. Cousins told me directly that they got it, but no one spoke out in public. Most people supported my parents and their family. Traditions were holy, and breaking them meant rejecting everything they stood for. My parents filed paperwork they went to court and said I was mentally ill and had turned the younger kids against them. They wanted immediate custody officially given to them, and I was told I couldn't do any childcare. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. Trust me, you'll feel bad about this. My dad told me that night, "Everything you need, a place to sleep, food, and a reason to live. This is how you repay us." The locks were changed the next morning, and when I got home from work at the food store, I saw that my key wouldn't work, and my clothes were in trash bags in the yard. They said I had threatened them at the family meeting, and put an order on the front door. Jada looked from her bedroom. She put her phone up to the window and said, "I'm recording." But what good would that do? I slept in my car that night when my whole family was against us. I was parking behind the grocery store when my boss caught me the next morning. When he came in to open up, I asked him to let me go. I need this job more than ever, but word gets around fast, and by the end of the week, 3 of my dad's building crew friends had been to the business in our small town. In my line to pay, they didn't say anything directly. They just stood there buying single things and talking about kids who weren't thankful for what their parents did for them. My boss called me into his office the next day. "I'm sorry, Naomi, but people have been complaining that there are so many things going on that you seem to be making mistakes. Maybe you should take some time off." I asked him, "Please, give me this job. I have nowhere else to go." Nervous, but only for a short time until things with your family settle down. We both knew it wouldn't last in a small town where my dad's group was staying. Though did half of the building work, crossing him had serious consequences. I camped out in my car for 2 nights until the women's shelter had a bed open. The intake worker frowned. "Your parents filed this against their own daughter?" she asked. When she saw my protection order, I just nodded because I was too tired